carbohydrates. We will now move to lipids. Okay, first question po. Refer to the following illustrations. The specimen here is amniotic fluid, and we have a phospholipid analysis, wherein basically what we can see here is the increase in the level in the latter third trimester during the 5 to 40 weeks of gestation. The class of phospholipid surfactants represented by the dotted line on the amniotic fluid analysis shown above is thought to originate in what fetal organ system? So we have letter B, pulmonary. So this one shows an increase in the phospholipid concentration around the 34 to 36 week of gestation or during the last trimester of gestation, wherein at this stage po the phospholipid is increased. So phospholipid po is the most abundant lipid present in all cell membrane. But for this purpose po, phospholipid also act as a lung surfactant, no? Which is used to assess fetal lung maturity. And these phospholipid are produced by the type 2 pneumocytes of the alveolar of the lungs. Okay? So deficient po in the level of your surfactants will cause the alveoli to collapse. Okay, kaya tinetest po natin yan, especially during preterm delivery, para ma-assure natin yung fetal lung maturity na meron enough na surfactants. No? The diagnostic test that we are using is your LS ratio, using thin layer chromatography, wherein the LS ratio should be more than or equal to 2. Others tests is your amniostat FLM, phosphatidylglycerol, and then we also have your lamellar body count as common test, no, to assess fetal lung maturity. Okay. In amniotic fluid, the procedure used to determine fetal lung maturity is, so we have letter A, lecithin sphingomyelin ratio. One of the tests nga po to assess fetal lung maturity, wherein the sphingomyelin only act as a control. Lecithin po should increase here twice, at least twice, no, than your sphingomyelin. So again, the LS ratio should be more than or equal to 2. Creatinine naman po is used to assess if the specimen, no, is is um, um, maternal urine or amniotic fluid, no, to be able to differentiate. While letter C, for the measurement naman po of absorbance at 450 nanometer, this one is to detect nga po the presence of bilirubin, which is increased, no, in case po of hemolytic disease of the newborn. No? And letter D naman po, alpha-fetoprotein is a test for is a test for um, to assess neural tube defects like spina bifida and anencephaly, wherein alpha-fetoprotein of more than or equal to 2, multiple of the median, indicates neural tube defects like spina bifida or anencephaly. Okay? But for fetal lung maturity, we have letter A, LS ratio or lecithin sphingomyelin ratio. Which of the following lipid results would be expected to be falsely on a serum specimen from a non-fasting patient? Alin daw po sa mga ito, no, ang magkakaroon ng erroneous result in a non-fasting patient? So we have letter B, triglycerides, no? Because triglyceride po is affected by food intake. So food intake can cause false increase, no, in the triglyceride measurement, while cholesterol is less affected from by recent meal uh, ingestion. No? HDL also contains cholesterol. So you have your HDL cholesterol and LDL cholesterol. So again, triglyceride here would be expected to be falsely elevated. Okay? In a non-fasting patient. Kaya po kapag lipid profile, which requires us to measure triglyceride, no? Kasama po yan doon, chylomicrons, no? VLDL, which contains nga po or carries triglyceride, di ba? Chylomicrons carries exogenous triglyceride, while VLDL carries endogenous triglyceride. Okay? So we require fasting po, no? For lipid profile of 10 to 14 hours of fasting. Blood was collected in a serum separator tube on a patient who has been fasting since midnight. The time of collection was 7 a.m. The laboratory test which should be recollected is, so again, 12, midnight po is 12 a.m., 7 a.m., so naka 7 hours pa lang po siya, so hindi niya pa na-achieve yung required natin na fasting for lipid profile, no? In particular, because nga po of a falsely increased triglyceride value. So which should be, the laboratory test which should be recollected is letter A, triglycerides. So triglycerides are affected by recent digestion. Fasting overnight for 10 to 14 hours is the optimal time for fasting to standardize blood collections, including nga po lipids. Okay? Iron here, just to add information here, so iron is subject naman po to circadian rhythm and is best analyzed in the morning. Okay? However, a specific time of fasting is not critical for iron testing. Okay? While LD and sodium are not affected by recent ingestion of food. Next, the substance that is measured to estimate the serum concentration of triglyceride by most method is triglyceride po is also called neutral fat, or also called as your TAG, no, or triacyl glycerol. So it contains po glycerol and a 3 fatty acid chain. No? So the substance that we are measuring for triglyceride measurement is letter B, glycerol. No? So for the enzymatic measurement of triglyceride, it is a coupled reaction. The first enzyme that we are using is lipase to hydrolyze for the hydrolysis of your triglyceride to produce glycerol and um, to produce your glycerol, no? And then the glycerol will enter the second reaction through the enzyme glycerol kinase. No? So what we are measuring nga po is the glycerol. Yung to estimate the triglyceride value. Yung fatty acid po kasi is not easily measured. Yung phospholipid naman po, hindi po related dito sa triglyceride, no? Although meron silang halos similar structure, no? Kasi phospholipid contains 2 fatty acid chain, no? While triglyceride contains 3 fatty acid chain. Pero magkaiba po sila. Okay, so again, for triglyceride measurement, we have your glycerol. Turbidity in serum suggests elevation of basically your triglyceride, no, imparts turbidity in the serum, no. So it can be in the form nga po of chylomicrons that carries exogenous trigly, or VLDL that carries endogenous trigly, no. So for this particular problem, sa ating pong choices, we have letter C, chylomicrons. Okay? That imparts turbidity in serum. Yung chylomicrons po will form a floating creamy layer when we perform a standing plasma test. And the supernatant now will be clear, no? Kapag nag-form na siya ng floating creamy layer. While yung VLDL will not form a floating creamy layer, and it is the most insoluble. So pag VLDL naman yung present, the sample will remain turbid, or the supernatant will remain turbid even after the standing or after a standing plasma test. Okay? Possible naman na pareho silang present, no? May presence ka na ng chylomicrons, may floating creamy layer, then meron ding presence ng VLDL. Possible naman po yun, no? Wherein the sample remains turbid even though meron na din siya na form na floating creamy layer. Okay? As next po tayo, no? As part of a hyperlipidemia screening program, the following results were obtained on a 25-year-old woman 6 hours after eating. So we have here your triglyceride and your cholesterol. Again, balikan niyo yung una natin kanina, no? The first slide na pinakita ko po sa inyo. Ano po nakalagay doon, no? For trigly, ito po sinasabi ko, no? Kasi ang ESCP po, mahilig sila sa mga ganito, no? They are giving the result, you need to interpret, no? Sabi ko nga, mas more of higher order thinking skills yung kailangan, no? Pero syempre, you can't fully analyze the problem kung meron tayong deficient dun sa particular um, or if kulang yung background knowledge mo, no? Or deficient ka sa sufficient na information, no? Minsan binibigay sa atin yung reference value pero may mga times na hindi binibigay, no? So at some point, no, mas I think, no, it is necessary, no, na alam natin, no, yung reference value. Hindi mo natin alam, no. Basta alam natin, no, kumbaga we can estimate kung mababa ba, mataas ba, ayan, no. Yun naman yung important doon, no, na alam mo yung significance. So for trigly, 'di ba? Kung maalala natin, ang desirable sa trigly dapat less than 150, no? Mataas 'yan, 'di ba? Yung 260, no? So basta alam mo mataas 'yan, no? Yung value na 'yan. For cholesterol naman, ang desirable, di ba, sa cholesterol, dapat less than 200, no? So, sabihin, normal yan, no? Yung cholesterol value na yan, okay? So, dahil alam mo yun, no? We can now interpret yung result, no? At mahilig po dyan, no? Ang mga ASCP type na exam. Which of the following is the best interpretation of these results? So, both results are normal and not affected by the recent meal. O, mali po yan, no? Letter B, cholesterol is normal, but triglycerides are elevated, which may be attributed to the recent meal. O mukhang tama yun, no? Check mo natin yung ibang mga items, no? Letter C, both results are elevated, indicating a metabolic problem in addition to the non-fasting state, no? Hindi naman sila parehong elevated, no? Kasi normal naman dito si cholesterol. So, mali din po yan, no? Letter D, both results are below normal despite the recent meal. So again, hindi rin po, no? Kasi mataas nga si triglyceride. So the answer is letter B, no? Cholesterol is normal, but triglycerides are elevated. Bakit nga? Kasi tingnan mo, 6 hours of fasting pa lang yung ginawa, no? Eh, 'di ba, for triglyceride nga po, no, kailangan natin ng 10 to 14 hours of fasting. Diba? Kaya for lipid profile, our fasting is 10 to 14 hours, no? Okay? Next, again, ito po yung question kanina, no? Naulit lang natin. So we have letter C, chylomicrons imparts turbidity in the serum, in particular your triglycerides nga po, which can be in the form nga po of chylomicrons that carries exogenous trigly or VLDL that carries endogenous trigly. Okay? Pero ang chylomicrons magka-form niya ng floating creamy layer, while the VLDL is the most insoluble that will remain turbid nga po sa sample even after the standing plasma test. Okay. Speaking of, no, yung mga creamy layer, yan. So, a 1-year-old girl with a hyperlipoproteinemia and lipoprotein lipase deficiency has the following lipid profile. So, the cholesterol here is 300. Mataas din, no? LDL here is increased, mataas. HDL here is decreased. Triglycerides mataas ng 200 mg per deciliter. Chylomicrons here is present. A serum specimen from this patient that was refrigerated overnight would most likely be, no? So again, yung mataas po na value dito ng triglyceride coincides nga po with the presence here of the chylomicrons, no? So positive siya or present nga po yung chylomicrons carries exogenous triglyceride, no? Which shows here nga po a very high value of the triglyceride. So kung present po yung chylomicrons dito after standing the specimen or standing plasma test nga po or having it refrigerated overnight, it will show nga po a creamy layer or a floating creamy layer, no, over a clear serum. Okay? So kung yun nga po ay chylomicrons, it will form a floating creamy layer and the supernatant now will uh, be cleared. No? Okay? So again, no, going back sa condition po ng patient dito, as what you can see, kasi pag nakakita tayo ng chylomicron sa specimen, either hindi nag-fast yung patient, no? Yun yung una nating iisipin, no? Pero considering here yung patient to 1-year-old, no? Tapos, bakit meron siyang high presence of chylomicrons, triglycerides sa kanyang blood, no? Kasi this one po is a genetic disorder as well, no? Under your type 1 hyperlipoproteinemia, which we call as your familial lipoprotein lipase deficiency. So, some individuals po are deficient sa apolipoprotein C2 or lipoprotein lipase. And deficiency of lipoprotein lipase will um, will affect, no, their metabolism of triglycerides, in particular nga po of chylomicrons. So they cannot clear their chylomicrons, no? Kaya mataas ang level ng chylomicrons, no? Forming nga here a creamy layer or floating creamy layer. Okay, chylomicrons are present in which of the following dyslipidemias? So we have letter C, deficiency of your lipoprotein lipase activity. Okay, or ApoC2 deficiency or lipoprotein lipase deficiency or lipemia clearing factor deficiency. So they can't clear the triglycerides, no? They can't clear the chylomicrons. The function of the major lipid components of the very low density lipoprotein is to transport, again, VLDL is used to transport exogenous, that's chylomicrons, no? Chylomicrons transport exogenous triglyceride while VLDL transports your endogenous triglyceride. Ayan, no? And the VLDL nga po is the most insoluble. So it will impart a turbid appearance nga po in the serum as it carries triglyceride. And it will not form a floating creamy layer unlike chylomicrons. So it will remain, it will impart turbidity. It will remain turbid, no, sa sample. Okay, a fasting serum sample from an asymptomatic 43-year-old woman is examined visually and chemically with the following result. So, initial appearance po of the serum is milky. Appearance of serum after overnight refrigeration, nag-form siya ng floating creamy layer. And then, pero the sample here, hindi na clear yung kanyang supernatant. No? That the serum here remains turbid. Tapos, ang taas nga po ng kanyang triglyceride level dito. So the sample here contains predominantly, so ibig sabihin hindi lang chylomicrons ang present dito. Meron din siyang presence ng VLDL. So we have letter B, chylomicrons and your very low density lipoprotein. Okay? So overnight refrigeration here shows a creamy layer over a turbid serum because of the presence of the chylomicrons and VLDL, no? Carrying nga po triglyceride. So we have your exogenous and endogenous triglyceride respectively. Premature atherosclerosis can occur when which of the following becomes elevated? Is it chylomicrons? Is it prostaglandins? Is it LDL or HDL? No? Again, no, the answer here is your letter C, LDL. Okay, so ano po ba yung atherosclerosis? Atherosclerosis is characterized by a thickening or hardening, no, ng ating mga arterial walls because of the formation of cholesterol, wherein it deposits nga po, no, sa ating peripheral tissue, nagpo-form nga po ng cholesterol plaques, no, particularly in the lining of our arteries, no. And the primary contributor nga po sa development nga po ng atherosclerosis is the role, no, of the LDL, no, because LDL transports cholesterol to the peripheral tissue for the or to the cells, no, for metabolism, no. And LDL nga po transports majority of the cholesterol. Yan din po yung pinakamarami, no, among all the lipoproteins associated with the deposition of cholesterol in the lining of our blood vessels, in particular sa ating arteries. No? And forming or developing nga po premature atherosclerosis. No? So we have LDL. Kaya the higher the LDL, the higher your risk, no, of of uh, of developing nga po atherosclerosis, and then subsequently, no, leading to um, cardiovascular diseases, no, yung mga coronary heart uh, diseases. Okay, transportation of 60 to 75% of the plasma cholesterol is performed by so yung pinaka major transporter nga po ng ating cholesterol is we have your letter C, LDL. So LDL po contains around 50% or more than 50% cholesterol. So it transports nga po around mga 70%, no, ng cholesterol to the peripheral tissue, to the peripheral cells. No? Again, which can cause nga po plaque formation, atherosclerosis. While so again that's true, letter C, LDL, no. Yung chylomicrons naman po, chylomicrons contains high amount of triglycerides po yan, pero it will never deposit cholesterol, no. So it will not cause atherosclerosis, no. VLDL also transports triglyceride. Yun nga lang, for chylo, exogenous, for VLDL, endogenous. Yung HDL naman, we term this one as the good cholesterol. So, it contains a higher amount of protein than cholesterol. Ang ginagawa naman niya, it performs naman reverse cholesterol transport. So, pabalik naman from the peripheral tissue, from the peripheral cells, from the blood vessel, pabalik naman sa liver for metabolism. No? So, the higher the HDL, the more protective you are, di ba? Okay. Again, for LDL, ang ating value dapat dyan, less than 100, di ba? Again, kapag cholesterol, total cholesterol dapat less than 200. Kapag triglyceride, dapat less than 150. Kapag LDL, dapat less than 100. Kapag HDL, dapat higher. So, dapat more than 40. No? Pero pag protective, dapat more than 60. So the lower the HDL naman, pag less than 40, the more risk you are, no, for developing coronary heart diseases. Again, balikan po natin yung reference values natin kanina. Next, if the nakasunod po ba, no? If the LDL cholesterol is to be calculated by Friedewald formula, what are the two measurements that need to be carried out by the same chemical procedure? Again, alam niyo po ito, no? The Friedewald formula is for the computation of your LDL quantitation, no, or LDL cholesterol quantitation. So basically, it is total cholesterol minus your HDL minus your VLDL, no. Pero yung ating VLDL is only obtained from your or derived from your triglyceride value. Tama? So, total chole, basically that's total chole minus HDL minus your triglyceride. No? So, yun po yung ating makailangan for the measurement of the LDL cholesterol. Total chole, HDL, and triglyceride. So, we have here your pero ang tanong po dito, that need to be carried out by the same chemical procedure. No? We have your letter A, total cholesterol and HDL cholesterol. No? Since these are both cholesterol measurement. No? Okay, so this will be carried out by the same chemical procedure. So, total chole and HDL cholesterol. Okay, so again, possible po na ipakompute po sa atin yung LDL cholesterol. So, let's be familiar with the formula again. So, LDL cholesterol is equal to total cholesterol minus HDL plus VLDL, no? Kanina sabi ko po minus, no? Kasi ang ginawa ko, inaalis ko yung bracket na, no? Wala nang bracket. Ang ginagawa ko na lang total chole minus HDL minus VLDL. Pero pwede rin naman na total chole minus open bracket, HDL plus VLDL close bracket, no? Pwede naman po yun, no? Kung saan po kayo mas comfortable. Pero again, yung VLDL nga po, hindi po yan kino-compute na diretso dyan, no? Galing po yun sa triglyceride value, no? So, triglyceride, um, uh, we derive your VLDL from the triglyceride value, no? So, kung maalala po natin, no, under Friedewald formula, triglyceride divided by 5. Okay, kapag milligrams per deciliter. Pero kapag millimoles per liter, divided yon by